Okay, this is Cohen, but I'm his mom. And so we were wondering, what's the weirdest thing a fan has said or done?
Asked a question through his mom. No, I respect it. I wish my mom was here to answer all these questions for me.
And to ask us questions.
To help us with our mics.
Yeah.
Weirdest thing a fan's ever said or done? Yeah, we're not in the business of throwing people under the bus, so we're not gonna rat anyone out. I don't know. What do you think? You got one?
I think everyone's been super normal. Most people that we meet are cooler than us. So if anything, we've probably done weird stuff.
Yeah. No, I think people ask us to sign very odd things. So that happens every once in a while. We signed a inhaler. The phone thing, I can't really think of anyone that I would let write on my phone.
Yeah, no way.
But I guess we're that special.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question was, what's your favorite song to perform, and what's your favorite song by another artist?
Oh, wow. The performing one changes all the time. I think that there's certain aspects of certain songs that are difficult to perform technically, or I guess on our instruments. And so some of them, especially if they're newer, are more difficult. And once you're able to kind of feel yourself getting better, feel yourself getting more and more comfortable every time you play it, it turns into your favorite song because it's something that you've kind of conquered. So I would say My Blood is kind of a difficult song for both of us just because it's groovy. It's got a bounce to it that is tough to perform and execute. So that one's probably my favorite one.
Yeah, and it does change all the time, but I think for both of us, I always go back to Trees for multiple reasons. I love playing that song, but I also realize that I'm about to eat dinner after that song. So it's like it's a
hungry song.
Yeah. Tummy starts growling during that one.
Yeah. And other art, we don't like any other artists.
Yeah. Actually, I would like another artist if Tyler did a solo project.
Oh, thanks, man.
Then that would be the other band that I like.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. This is for Tyler. What advice would you give yourself at 16 if you knew back then that you'd have such a huge impact on so many people?
Oh man, that's a good question. I would say just don't worry so much. I think that there's an aspect of, I think back to being 16 where everything felt so very important, and but not in a positive sense. It's like every decision that was made, every reaction and interaction that I had was so important at the moment. And when it didn't go well, it felt like it was the end of the world. And I think that if I were to talk to 16-year-old me, I would tell him to not worry as much. Have fun, because you're not going to be 16 for very long. And I don't know if I knew, now we're getting to time travel stuff. If I knew that this is where I'd be now, I don't know if I would have put in the work or the I think we were pretty silly to think that we could accomplish this. Now that we're here, looking back, we realize just how many needles we threaded and how many close calls we had to making the wrong decision, and how difficult it is, how many other bands and artists want to be in this position. And I think that Josh and I were healthily ignorant to it, what the chances. And so I think that I'm glad that I wouldn't know that this would happen, because I don't think that it would happen if I felt like I didn't have to work for it, I guess. So thank you.
I had an amazing answer for that too, but
Didn't ask you, yeah.
that was for Tyler.
You can tell me later.
Yeah, I'll tell Tyler. Sure.
It's extremely personal, actually.
It's funny that she's put right in front of you too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm only taking it personally.
So my question is, what did you do on your first date with your current significant other?
The first what?
First date with your current. Bleh. What did you do on
Current
your
si-
first date with your current significant other?
Oh, first date.
I will commend you guys. It's a lot harder to just have like 5 seconds to talk into the microphone.
Yeah.
Rather than just have it in front of your face, this whole interaction. This is much easier than having a tiny moment to say everything perfectly. So I appreciate you guys coming and asking us questions. It's
Yeah.
not easy.
Yeah.
And now that anyone who's done with their question, they're just like, now I can think. And if you have one coming up, I'm sure that you're not even listening to what I'm saying right now.
And also, I said what, but I blame myself for not hearing it and not you for not saying it.
Okay, well, that's the worst.
Yeah.
That happens sometimes to me when I'm singing, and it's usually from a ski mask, but I do get hair in my mouth, and so you get really strategic and like rapping or singing, and you kind of you just swipe it away.
I just watched a video of me on stage, like pulling a hair.
Did you? It's the worst. They're like,
Yeah.
oh no, it's still coming.
Whose
Well,
hair is?
I love how they're avoiding the question. This is a great way to.
Yeah, a movie.
I don't know. Kissed. Yeah. Freaking held hands.
Yeah, no, actually, my first. So I kept telling Jenna, who's my wife now, when I first met her, I was like, "This isn't a date. This doesn't count as a date." I kept on saying that because I wanted our first date to be like fun and memorable. So we would hang out, but I would always clarify, "This isn't a date. We're just hanging out." And then finally, when the first date came around, you were actually a part of that. Well, no, it's not like that. But I actually involved.
I was there.
You were there. No, I involved a lot of my friends because I kind of I don't know, built this to be like a scavenger hunt type thing where I gave her a poem in the beginning of the date, and then each stanza led us to a different location. And at each stop, that's fine. I get it.
It was cool.
I haven't tried since then, so. But no, each stanza brought us to a different location, and at each location, I had some buddies there that were like set up to do something. I think at one point I sang like a song in a restaurant with a couple other guys in front of everyone. I stood up on the table, and it was crazy. And then another one, I pretended to defend her from people fighting, right? And that was. So Josh was like disguised with my other friend Colin, and they pretended to like
Get in a fight.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I had you pretend to like hit on her, and I was like, "You don't do that." And I went over to like pretend to beat him up, and he was far off in the distance and dark. I thought maybe we could pull it off, like she would think I'm actually getting in a fight. And then afterwards, she's like, "Bye, Josh." She knew the whole time. But and yeah, so okay, next one.
And Josh, you're sticking with kiss and held hands? Okay.
So you guys did a Q&A on Reddit, and Tyler, you had said your favorite song from Trench was Cut My Lip, and Josh, you said yours was Levitate. I'm wondering, now that you guys have been touring and playing the new album consistently, if your favorite songs from it have changed.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes back to the previous one. It really does change. So I think throughout the course of interviews, the answer to that question has probably been every song on Trench at this point. Levitate is one of my favorite ones to play. It is a challenge on the drums, and I don't know. I guess we enjoy something that's challenging, and so yeah, it does change all the time. But the fun part too is like putting together the set list, and it is kind of trying to go up and down in dynamic and feel. So there are parts of the set that feel really lighthearted and fun, and some of them are heavier and darker, and that's really fun. So it is looking at a show. The whole experience of the thing is the fun part. So it's hard to kind of like just dive in and specifically pick out one of those moments that's the best, because I think it's all fun.
Yeah, for me, I guess our version of the song, like when you say, I think it's interesting dynamic. When you say a title of one of our songs, Josh and I automatically think of the live version because that's what we do every day. We have not listened to our record in a long time. But I would say that if you're a fan, just like we think of other bands and other artists, when we think of the title of that song, we think of the experiences we've had listening to that song, not necessarily in the live realm. So it is kind of your understanding of a song compared to ours is a little different. So when you ask what's our favorite song off the record, it's hard not to think of just the live version for us. I do think of, I mentioned My Blood being one that I enjoy playing live, but then Cut My Lip is definitely still my favorite song off the record to listen to. What's interesting is depending on the crowd, depending on the room and what type of people are in it, I feel like My Blood has the ingredients where I can try to take almost any room and get them to rally around that song. And, you know, whether they're the quietest, most subdued, polite crowd ever or the craziest crowd, I feel like that song really caters to all aspects, and I can slowly hone them into enjoying that song. I think that Cut My Lip it's more fun for me to play than My Blood when the crowd is right. And not to put you guys on, pressure tonight or whatever, but there's just certain rooms where maybe you're not as dialed into the deeper cuts of the record, or there's a lot of maybe new people who haven't been to the show, or whatever the aspect is that can make that song Cut My Lip fall a little flat compared to My Blood. But if it's the right ingredients in the room, then Cut My Lip easily becomes my favorite. So
a couple of years ago, the news came out and reported that the damage that was ensued at a Good Life Fitness Center had the same result as a low magnitude earthquake. What was your initial reaction to rocking so hard that you broke a fitness center?
I think the first thing I thought was, at what point in the set did it happen? Because if it was the moment where I get everyone to jump and move, that makes sense. But if it was the moment that Josh does a backflip off the piano and he lands on the stage, we might have to have a conversation.
It's in our band agreement that if
either of us gets out of shape or something, then we can kick each other out of the band.
we both signed it. So if I'm breaking stuff when I'm landing, then that's a bad situation.
Bad sign.
But I do remember, the day after that show, reading that article, and I thought it was awesome.
Do you have a special routine or ritual that you do before performing at one of your concerts?
I try and learn the songs.
Yeah. We've discussed this topic a lot. I think it's probably because we haven't landed on anything. We were playing with a band. We just came from Mexico not too long ago, and we had a few shows there. And one of the opening bands was a band called Same Hotel, and they're great guys, really fun. And they're green. We never told them this, so if they ever see this interview, now you find out. Their green rooms are pretty much right next to ours, and we could hear them getting ready for the show. And they have 4, 5, 6 people in the band. It's a big band. And they're just going nuts. They're just going, woo, just woo, and let's go, and hyping each other up and getting really excited and wooing tons of woos. And I'm getting, and then they get off stage. They're done with their set, and I hear them wooing. They got off stage. They're all wooing. They're all pumped. And I just kept thinking, man, Josh and I, we never woo. We don't. And I told him before the show, I was like, I was listening to the Same Motel in the green room next to ours, and they're just going crazy. When we get off stage, usually it's the sense of we didn't die. We did it. Or most of the time it's, hey, we could have done better here. Let's figure this out. Let's, and then let's eat. So there's really never that hyped up celebration moment. And I think we were talking about the dynamic is probably because it's just two of us. I think that if there's more people, that you can kind of pump each other up easier.
Two dudes wooing is tough.
Yeah. And you gotta have, it's hard to pull off.
Yeah.
And then that night when we were playing the show, after I mentioned that to Josh, like, man, we don't woo enough. At the end of the show, every time there's a moment before our last song where I pointed over to Josh, like, please give it up to Josh one more time. And usually he just kind of like waves or whatever. And that particular night, you killed me. He looks at the crowd, he just goes, woo! And I lost it. I started wooing at him. And so we actually wooed at each other a bunch.
It felt good.
Let's do that tonight.
Here's what it is, though. This is the extent of a pre-show ritual, is this.
That's right. Because we found some bands do like a huddle. Just a hug with two guys. So you don't really want to hug right before you rip it up. It just doesn't make sense.
Dude, I just had a hair in my mouth.
Did you?
Okay. What's your secret to staying such close friends, especially when you're on tour and around each other all the time? Or do you wish you could spend even more time together?
Ooh, about that.
Yeah, maybe not more time together.
No?
I think part of it is actually realizing when not to hang out. It sounds weird, but I think that I think occasionally some healthy distance is good. But I mean occasionally, like hardly ever. But like if
when you sleep
or like go to the bathroom.
That's it. Or showering occasionally.
Yeah. But also I think we always try to make each other laugh. I think humor and laughter is very important in any friendship or relationship. And so if we can get that dialed in, then we'll be buds forever.
Who is your favorite literary character, and are any of your songs based on them?
Do you read?
Yeah, you're talking like books.
Do you read? Should that have been my question?
Yeah, maybe that's a better question.
Neither of us read. I read Twitter.
We've read before.
No, yeah, we've done it. We know what it is.
We've heard about it.
I know what reading is.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I don't think that I can't think of a specific song that was inspired by any piece of literature. So I guess that's a no to that. But I don't know. I know that some of my favorite books. I read Lord of the Rings. I was kind of like, I really enjoyed that. And I watched the movies more. So now I kind of can't think of the movie without reading the book. So I don't know if it even counts as a literary character at this point. But is that all right? If I were to pick, Legolas is like my favorite.
Those are my favorite.
Yeah, Legolas. Yeah, you strike me as a Legolas girl. Yeah, we have
Most
a connection.
of the songs are about Legolas.
You don't even know who Legolas is.
He's the guy on the horse.
Sometimes, but everyone is on the horse at some point in that.
No,
unless you're a Hobbit.
What's the guy's name?
Orlando Bloom.
Orlando Bloom.
Yeah,
I know who he is. He's in Lord of the Rings.
Josh is yet to sit through. Wait, you watched the first one, right? It's the second one, Two Towers. It was a running joke. You fell asleep in the middle of Two Towers every single time.
Yeah.
I've gotten through the battle.
Well, yeah, I don't know what it is.
He doesn't know. He didn't even know there was a battle.
Now, if there's a battle,
I'll wake you up next time the battle starts.
I'll take a 5-hour energy drink. And,
So then a follow-up to that is, I believe then you guys have obviously you write stories with your songs. They are their own stories, but I believe possibly, and I could be wrong, that maybe you have characters that transcend more than one song?
Yeah, no, I think that, I don't know, I think one of my favorite things about music is that it can paint a picture in your brain too, and it's really fun to, when you're creating a song, I can't help but ask myself the question, well, what's the point? Why did I make that song? Why does that song live up next to that song? And the idea of an album what's tying it together. And I've found that storytelling and finding characters that live throughout those songs kind of make the album make sense together. And also something really fun to write about and dive into. The world that I'm living today doesn't necessarily, sometimes what's going on in here feels disconnected from what I'm actually doing. I don't know if that makes sense, but so in order to make sense of what's up here, which is super abstract and tough to fully understand, to kind of pour yourself into a world that's closer to kind of where you're living now, yet very different, and yet you're completely in control of which direction to go and how to build that world out. It was one of my favorite aspects of writing this recent record, and so it's a big love of mine, is to tell stories and to develop characters.
Dude, I'm sorry. Did you want some water too?
No, I'm fine now that that's all that's left. Don't take the bit away.
Well, we have only time for one more. So.
One more. And honestly, if it's not a good question, I'm just going to not answer it.
Okay, this is the first thing that came to mind, but between a lobster and a spider crab, who do you think would win a fight?
That's a great question.
That is a good question.
That's why we're here.
What's a spider crab?
Big crab.
And the other one was a what?
Lobster?
Lobster? They both sound delicious.
My guess would be spider crab. Sounds cooler. And if it's a crab but bigger?
Here's a question.
How big?
Is the fight underwater?
Yes.
I'm going to go lobster. If it was on land, I think a spider crab would take it. Anyway, thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah.